Hey Nicola, how you doing?
Hi, it's great to speak to you today.
And you, thank you for being here. So tell me, whereabouts are you in Devon?
I am in Kingsbridge, actually just outside of Kingsbridge. I'm currently looking at the estuary. It's lovely
Oh,
down
how
here.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Nice. Yeah, no, we've had quite a bit of rain, haven't we, here?
we have. It's not too bad, not too bad today.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Well, thank you so much for being part of the Crossroads Cafe podcast. So again, lovely Nicola, me and Nicola have come into contact with each other through the WISE group, the Women in
Yeah,
Southern
yeah.
Enterprise group. That's how we've met. So I haven't actually met you face to face, but we've been seeing each other online in our Facebook group. Um, and yeah, Nicola is the proud owner of a company called Power of Pants, POP. Is it POP for short?
Yes, it pop or Power of Pants. I've got sort of logos in both versions. But we
Yes,
pop works because of the pop art imagery. So it's sort of, yeah,
fantastic. I love
it's
it. I love it. And when you sent your notes back, I was so inspired reading your notes because you put so much on there. So I've got loads I want to chat to you about today. But if you're not familiar, the Crossroads Cafe podcast, it was created at the very beginning of the pandemic, and it was really about um, I was speaking to women, other women, within our group and other entrepreneurs like business women locally who felt that they were at a bit of a crossroads. And even friends, actually, some of my mates were coming up to me and they were talking about, you know, they'd been in work or they were out of work and working from home and they were having to go back to work a couple of days a week. And they felt they were at this crossroads and they didn't know sort of what avenue
mm,
to take, or they just wanted to do something different in their life and they didn't know what it was. Um, so me and a lovely lady called Felicity, we was catching up once a week. She's a sort of mentor of mine, and we were
mm,
talking about this angst that we all seem to have of being at this
mm,
crossroads and not knowing what route to take. And we decided to create the podcast and then reach out to the likes of people like yourself,
mm.
that have been at a crossroads, made a decision, you know, gone down that avenue and created something wonderful from it.
Yeah.
So that's what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about your business, you know, what got you started and where you're at now, some of the hurdles and the things that you've overcome, the challenges that you've faced, and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So, without further ado, let's just hear about your business and where it all started.
Where it all started. Well, funnily enough, I'm almost looking at the point where it started. But if I take it right back, I've always worked for myself. I had a business before this 10 years that I absolutely loved. It was fantastic. Then the twins came along, and you know your time changes, and the dynamic of your life changes, and well, like the pull, the directions, everything changes. You know, if you've had
Mm.
children, you and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure,
yeah.
yeah.
I hear you.
Uh, so when they were two, I stopped working in that business. I sold it and I moved on. And from probably the day it closed down, I was saying, right, what should I do next? What should I
Yeah,
do next? And
yeah.
then my other half,
And what
my
was
brain,
that business?
that was the wine industry.
Wow,
Right,
sounds good.
amazing. I imported wines from all over the world and sold them in Hong Kong and Singapore because we were living over in Hong Kong at the time.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, it was hard to walk away, but it was the right thing. But literally started thinking, what next? And
yeah.
I sort of a year, and I've actually got a list in my phone of the crazy ideas I've had, and they are too crazy to admit to, most of them.
Yeah,
But it, you know, just thinking, and then we moved back to the UK, and then the
yeah,
pandemic,
yes. So you only
and
literally got back just before the pandemic, did you?
I got back about 10 months before it,
Oh,
and
wow.
got
So,
that, and my
yeah.
partner got back just as it hit. So the
Wow.
first
Okay.
10 months moving, I was settling the twins in, and moving to a country that I hadn't been in for 20 years. So it was all quite new to
Yeah.
me. So there
Yeah.
wasn't much for anything. But as the pandemic hit, we all found we had sort of extra time to do things. And I just started selling old stuff on eBay just to declutter, really.
Yeah.
But it inspired something in me. And I was like, oh, yes, I've forgotten how much I love connecting with people and I love
Yes.
selling. And it just gave me a
Yes.
buzz. And from then on, my mind just started going off on, you know, thinking. And sorry, this is a long story, isn't it, to get
Go
to the
for
point.
it. No. Yeah.
But I was inspired I was looking for, actually, girls underwear that is made for girls that don't necessarily want to have rainbows and mermaids, and might want to have underwear with diggers on, and superheroes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Couldn't find anything, so I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make my own. And as I was doing the research and looking around, I started thinking, pants, yeah, they give you power. Oh, power of pants. Oh, I like that, power of pants. So something struck within me when I sort of said that out loud, and I just registered the website straight away. Didn't know what I was going to do. Registered the website. See, and then spoke to my friend out in Hong Kong still, who works in the garment industry, and she said, no, you can't do that. It's going to be too difficult. Don't do it. So, there I was with my website, slightly crestfallen, but thinking, okay, it's good advice. And but it wouldn't leave me. It was just bouncing around in my head. And then fast forward, we were doing a beach cleanup as part of our homeschooling thing, and there's sort of the kids there, my kids, other kids, and we're all sort of playing on the beach. And one of the kids gives me a rocket, and oh man, there's a rocket here. And I look, and it's a tampon applicator.
Right.
And I was like, okay, universe, that was very subtle. Okay, I know what I'm going to do. And it just sort of grew from there. I was thinking about that, and I was thinking pants, and then I was like, this is it. This is what I've got to do. Yeah. And I started researching what it takes to make period pants, and it went from there.
Yeah. See, I've never heard of period pants before, ever. So this morning we had our WISE catch up. So our catch up with the other entrepreneurial women in the local area to where myself and Nicola live. And another one of our one of the ladies in the group, Amy, she said to me, we were talking about this this morning. And she said to me about Nicola, and about Nicola having these period pants. And I'm like, I'd never even heard of them. I don't even know what they are. And I'm a woman in my 40s, you'd think I would know this sort of stuff. So just tell me, what are they?
Well, they are just literally look like a pair of pants.
Pair of knickers,
The pair of knickers, different sizes, different shapes, different colours. But they have like an absorbent layer in the gusset. There's an absorbent microfiber, and then on the bottom there's a layer of a waterproof, breathable fabric.
Right.
So instead of using a tampon or using you might normally, you just put these on, and it gets absorbed into here, and it doesn't leak through because of the leak-proof layer.
And then you pop them in the wash.
Pop them in the wash. You rinse them under a cold tap, and then you pop them in the wash on a cold wash with your normal clothes. Hang them out to wear them again.
Fantastic.
And each pair, look after them, can last 3 or 4 years.
Amazing.
So they really are incredible. And I think for most people, the difficulty is getting your head around it. And like anything, you have these habits, and we go out and we buy the same products every month, and that's what we use. And when someone throws something so different in the mix, it makes you stop and think, oh, I don't know about that. And that reaction from people. I would encourage everyone to try them. Once you try them, they're so easy. They're a game changer. They're comfortable. You're not using any plastic. You're also not using any near or in your body. People use them for minor bladder leaks. Pelvic that have taken a bit of a bashing when you've had children, but you're going to the gym and I'm laughing because some ladies and I that do a boot camp, and we're all skipping, looking at each other. There's only one way this is going to go, you know. And
I hear you.
Hilarious. And I was like, need my pants, just need my pants. And that's what they do. They're fantastic. And I think, it's great for us to have a conversation, and we're older and we can make those decisions for ourselves, but also for the young girls.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
Yeah, they're just starting out, and we're sort of so far into it, but if you went back in time and chatted to yourself at the age of like 10 or 11 about it, and the fear that you have, and the embarrassment and the everything, and these put them on, you don't have to worry about leaking anywhere, you're not sort of feeling encumbered by a giant pad that you've got to wear, and
Yes.
they're just right at the get-go.
You're cutting out a bit there. Say that again. I missed that.
It's important to change habits while people are still young enough to embrace change and to try new things, rather than
with Kitty, she's
trying
my
to
eldest,
convince
and
a 30-year-old
I put
to
a little
change
bag,
their habits. If they're introduced
just
to
sort of a pretty
girls at a
bag in
younger age,
her
there'd be more of an uptake.
school bag with
Definitely.
towels in it. But I know it's that embarrassment of having to take that bag with you into the toilets, or carrying a towel and popping it in your pocket, and that kind of thing. So I think the concept of it, and like I said, I'd never heard of it before up until this morning when Amy was talking to me about it. I think it's fantastic. But coming back onto the actual business idea, because something that you put in your notes that I found really inspiring was this vision that you had. So you say that even a couple of years ago, before you even had an idea as to what you wanted your business to be, you're obviously very entrepreneurial because you've been in business before, but before you even had this idea, you basically created this poster, and it just had the words on it of sort of what you felt that, you know, you wanted to express either at that point or later on in life. Some of the words that you list here are joy, purpose, community, obviously money. Now, I'm big into visualization. I hugely believe in visualization. Can you just tell us a little bit about that, and how you see it, and how what sort of happened through you visualizing and actually creating this poster to where you are now, how that sort of, how you feel it manifested itself?
Well, do you know what, I've actually got the board in front of me that you mentioned, and it just has a white piece of paper on it. It says my new business.
Yes.
And I just put that on a cork board, like you say, with the words around it. Had fulfillment, joy, supports my community, financial reward, all around that. But actually, if I go back a step further, I think about 3 years ago, somebody shared like a Venn diagram with me. So, you know, the circles where they overlap. And I actually found it pinned to the inside of a cupboard today. I wondered if it was still there. And it says a similar sort of thing. It's saying, if you find the words are, if you love it, the world needs it, you're paid for it, you're great at it, then you create passion, mission, vocation, and profession. And in that, if you have all of those, then that is your thing. Then you're onto something. And yes. I honestly believe that like you, I love visualization, and I'm a big believer of putting things up. And sometimes you don't look at them every day, but they're there. And I think it came from this, because deep down, I know this Venn diagram was in my house, and I know it's imprinted in my memory. So then later on, when I'd done my sort of eBay thing and thought, hang on a minute, I need a bit more than this. My new business was, I put up there, and I looked at it, and I looked at it, and I looked at it.
Daily? Was that a daily?
Yes, it's on the board. And actually, because we were in lockdown, nobody was in the house, I brought my vision board down and put it in my living room. So it was there all the time.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I actually posted a photo to my family, and it was in the background, and my sister-in-law said, oh, what's your new business? And I said, I'm not sure yet, but just, you know, come back to me in a little while. Yeah. But I feel like visualization is, I mean, in its stripped out most basic terms, when you walk down the street, you look in the direction you want to walk in, you look where you're going, and that's the way you go.
Yeah.
And really, that's it in its simplest form.
Yeah.
You look at where you want to go. And I've since got another little addition on my board that says making decisions on where you're going. So you're always looking forward. You can always see. And for me, once I had arrived at my business and I knew what that business was, everything kind of fell into place. But I don't think I always knew in my gut that it would. I just didn't know when or how or what, but I knew that it would.
That's the thing. It's belief, isn't it? And I do think when you start out, if anyone's listening to this, you don't start out with belief. You start out with a bit of doubt. But I always say, maybe get around, and you mentioned this as well, get around the people that maybe have belief, whether that's in themselves or their business or whatever, because you will start to take that on a little bit until you've got it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
but I hear you. I always think, and I look at it as I'm shit when it comes to directions and getting to somewhere. So I always think if I've got somewhere to go, I need a map of how I'm going to get there, like a destination. And I think the same comes down to if there's something that you want to create, you need a map of how to get there, you know.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily need to know exactly what that is. You just need to have a belief that you're going to get to that point. I love Wayne Dyer. I don't know if you know of Wayne Dyer, but I listen to him a lot on YouTube, and he talks so much around sort of when you visualize, you materialize. And I know, I think it was Henry David Thoreau that says, which I feel is one of the best versions of success that I've heard. If you advance confidently in the direction of your dreams and you endeavor to live the life that you have imagined, you will meet with it in common hours. It's something like that. He basically says it will chase after you if you have a belief and you take action and you confidently move towards it. You don't necessarily need to know how it's going to be created. It will just be created if you're moving forwards and taking action, which is exactly what you've done, isn't it?
Yeah. I do think though that if you're not somebody that's used to visualizing or used to believing in something you can't necessarily touch or feel, I do think it is a hard thing for people to embrace, you know, the thought of thinking in a positive way and thinking like you're already successful. I think that's quite hard and quite intimidating for people, and I do hear it a lot from a lot of you know, motivational speakers and people talking about visualization. And I do sometimes wonder if it should be simplified a little bit, as in taking one aspect and believing in yourself and talking like you believe in yourself, and then moving forward with that, rather than, because I've heard so many times when people say, oh, just, you know, you just believe and act like you're a multimillionaire. And
difficult.
And I think
in fact, it's near
you know,
impossible.
it is, but you could believe and act like somebody who believes in their new dream or their new project. And when you talk to people, you talk like you're already successful, that you're already there. But I do think it's hard to get your head around, you know, the whole hog of living this lifestyle when you're not actually living it. Do you know what I mean?
One step at a time, and I do think for anyone listening, if there is this idea that you have and you want to create something but you're unsure of what that is, one step at a time. And I do think there needs to be you need to have a goal, you need to have a destination, so you need to have an idea of what it is that you want. Now that might, although you want to create a business and you don't know what your business is, you might be saying to yourself, well, what are the reasons for me wanting to create the business? Is it financial freedom? Is it, you know, support, being able to do, you know, move with my family? Is it creating a community of women, or whatever it is? You need a goal. I think you need something to aim for.
I agree.
And then I know for myself, it was, I started to build up a bit of I built a habit of repeatedly daily. That's why I asked if yours was the same and you were looking at your vision board daily, of saying what it was that I wanted, if it was that goal, whatever it may have been, thinking it, and then trying to feel it. And I remember at the very beginning, when I started that process, it felt ridiculous. You know, I'd stand in front of the mirror and I'd say, no, this is what I want to do, and this is what I want out of my life. Yeah. This is the goal that I've got.
You have imposter syndrome.
That's it. And I'd be thinking, I can't do that. That's ridiculous. But the more often I did that, morning and evening, just for a few minutes each day, it's like I started to create it, especially when I felt it, because it started to make me feel really good. And then the actions that I started to take were leading me to this outcome. And just like you, I mean, I've had many vision boards. I've got a massive one in front of me now, but the one that I had 4 years ago, I look at it now and I've achieved so much on it. And I never knew how I was going to do it back then. Yeah. But now I'm going, oh my God, I've done that. I've ticked that off, and I've ticked that off.
It's an amazing tool. I would urge everyone to try it. And if you're unsure, there's so much literature out there. There's so many YouTube videos, your podcast. I mean, there's so much out there to help people.
Oh, massively.
Get the head of, but it
massively.
And like you said, it's really important to check in with that vision very regularly. I do every day and every night, and it's not a set thing that I feel like I have to do. Like, there's a lot of people that say, right, you should do, you know, read this and look at that and do that every day for this amount of time. Well, I don't think you should put those kind of parameters on yourself. But I check in every morning. I have a vision of how the company looks, and it's sort of blurred around the edges, but I know what it is. I know how it feels when I get there. I know where I'm headed. There's no details involved. It is literally a picture in my head. And then at night time, I have a little chat with myself, and I check in, and I think, what do I need? What do I need from tomorrow? Because sometimes, I think I may have mentioned this when we chatted on email, sometimes it's even just clarity, vision. I found that once my ideas started snowballing, things were clicking into place like a jigsaw puzzle, but it was almost overwhelming. And at one point I had to say, okay, what I need is clarity and focus. There's too many ideas coming in here and it's clouding my vision. So that's what I want to say asked for, sort of maybe mulled over in my head, thought about, however you want to word it. I think we're all doing the same things. We all might call it something different. But that's what I went to bed thinking. Okay, tomorrow I need a calm, focused brain. And sure enough, you've set the intention, you wake up the next day.
That's where you're at.
And all of a sudden you're like, actually, I think I'm going to do that, you know. And that's been just invaluable to me.
Brilliant. Okay, so Power of Pants has been created. You had this vision. You've created this fantastic product. What have been some of the challenges? I know it's very new as well, isn't it? This is like, we're talking, a year?
I mean, the whole subject is a challenge in some ways.
Yeah. So so tell me about that, because I know you mentioned about maybe the stigma around the product and it not being something that people necessarily want to talk about. But that's got to be a mission in itself, right? Getting people to open up and actually be able to talk about it.
Well, it's funny. I mean, gosh, there are lots of challenges, but talking of just the product itself, I mean, coming from an industry where I sold wine, and a lot of people drink wine, and if they don't, they know what it is and they can join in the conversation. Less so these days, less so. I've had lots of dinner parties where people say, and what do you do? Or tell me, and you think, oh, okay, well, I'm going to, because it is
what I do.
Great, what I do, and I love it. But, you know, it can have a mixed reaction.
Yes.
You know, I've had faces to, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And I don't mind any reaction, because every reaction evokes a reaction in me, which is good. It means I can talk to anybody about it, you know, even people that are mortified by the concept. But it's a challenge, and you know, social media is important these days, and maybe not everybody wants to like a page that's going to be talking about periods and plastic pollution and things like that. So it has been a challenge, although I'm overall, I think I'm pretty impressed with how open people are about it so far. My next challenge is talking to the primary schools about teaching about using reusable products in school, because at the moment teaching is just disposable. So that's the whole thing. But yeah, definitely the subject is a challenge. But I think I'm trying to make the visuals around it fun. I mean, I love pop art. I love everything about it. So I want it to be kind of a fun thing to look at, even though the message is important.
Definitely. I love that. You also speak about, when it comes to challenges around things like time. You mentioned time. What else did you mention?
Believing in yourself,
taking the risks and all that kind of stuff. Talk to me a little bit about that. How do you overcome those sorts of things?
Do you know what? I think, I suspect if you lined 10, and I'm not just limiting this to women and children, but just because that's sort of my experience, so I'll just focus on that. But if you line 10 of us up that have all had children, have maybe 4 years out of work, we'd probably all say, I don't know if I could do that. I don't think I could do it. I'm not sure. There's always that self-belief, always, and in with that is validating and prioritizing what you're doing, especially at the beginning, where you're not making any money, but you're spending money and you're using your time, so it becomes harder to validate what you're doing and actually get on with it, because there's so many other things around you that need doing.
Yes.
But what I would say is, I know it feels uncomfortable, and nobody wants to be comfortable. You know, it's hard to push yourself out of the comfort zone. But what I would say is, and I've written this down, it is to exercise that muscle. It is the only way is to do something. And like you said, when you stood in front of your board and went, you know, I feel like an imposter, but you did it, and you said what you wanted to say, and you did your belief, you know, whatever ritual you had, you kept doing it and doing it and doing it until that muscle got stronger and everything felt natural. And I really can't emphasize that enough for people, just to do it anyway. It's okay to be scared. To my children, I'm scared, but do it anyway. And it's the only way to get past your self-belief is by doing it and showing yourself you can. Because I think unless you're trying to do something that is way out of your league, like maybe I want to retrain as an astronaut in the next 2 years, probably not going to happen. Probably. I mean, so if your expectations are realistic, and by realistic I mean they can be really big, but if it's possible, then it's possible.
Definitely. And I think and you touch on that, being realistic. It's practice. It's all in the practice. But it's so many people, they have a vision, or I see this quite a lot. They have a goal. They've got a goal in front of them. 9 times out of 10, it's not a realistic goal. And we always underestimate what we can do in 5 years, don't we? But overestimate what we can do in 6 months. So if we've set ourselves a goal and we're not getting to that goal, we then go, oh, I can't do this. I haven't achieved what I set myself out to do. But I see it so often that so many people, they'll have a goal, but they're not in it for the long game, and they're not consistent with their actions. And that's the problem. It's like I spoke with Amy about this last week when it comes to confidence. So many people will look at other people, they'll point the finger and they'll say, oh God, they're so confident. They've got the confidence to do that. You know, they've got the confidence to start up a business, or they've got the confidence. They've got the confidence to relocate or move abroad or whatever it is. Confidence only comes in the doing. It's like in doing the thing that scares you. If you consistently try, if you're consistently practicing, the confidence is built in the process.
That's right. Yeah, you're exercising the confidence muscle.
Exercising the muscle, which is what you touched on. So when it comes to those taking risks, when it comes to believing in yourself, when it comes to all of those things, and the challenges that we have in everyday life, let alone just starting up a business, if you exercise that muscle, you're going to get better.
Absolutely. And I would just say you have to do it. And I think also, like you said, if people are not looking at the long term, if you have got your idea and you are looking for the long term, you've got to accept that in the first year you will make mistakes, you will make decisions that maybe could have gone better. You will put out social media posts with grammatical errors in. You will do things that you think, oh. And that's okay, because that's all part of it. Because otherwise, what you do, you sit and do nothing. It's like the person who goes to the gym once they're fit. I'll go as soon as I'm fit. I'm going to start at the gym, but I don't want to go yet because I'm not fit.
Yes.
Guess it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Just you know,
I love that, Nicola. That's so true. That's so true. And most women as well, you hear, they're waiting for something. I'm waiting for the perfect time. Or like you mentioned, you know, I'm waiting till I'm fitter, or I'm waiting till the kids start school, or they're always waiting. But actually it's in the executing. It's in the execution. It's like executing daily.
And everybody's been there. And no matter how, like you said, no matter how confident you think a person is, they've all been in that position where they've exercised that muscle for the first time. And it might not be the same strengths and weaknesses that you have. You know, they might be great at that, but not at that. But they've all been in the position where they think, oh my God, I can't do this. I can't do this. Hold on a minute. I just did it. So maybe I can do this. So just go and practice and do it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely. So biggest learnings, what would you say your biggest learnings have been? Your biggest lessons?
I think the biggest learning is you can do it. You absolutely can do it. Like if your goal is a realistic goal, if you're not intending to build a rocket and fly to the moon, you know, biggest learning is that you can do it. Maybe I would say, and I don't know if this is just me or it's everybody starting out, I always want to go 100 miles an hour, and my ideas start flooding in, and I'm, you know, I'm this and I'm this, and I haven't even built the foundations. So I have had to learn to slow down.
Balance.
Balance.
All about balance, girl,
All
isn't
about,
it? Trying to keep that balance.
Yeah, it is, and I think that has been very important for me to learn. But I have sort of learned more about myself and how and what I love, and also how, you know, people say to you your whole life, oh, just follow your gut instinct, follow your gut instinct. But it works in this too, because as soon as you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach that it's good, I've learned to only do things that give me that feeling.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And rewinding just briefly, where a lot of people say to me, why don't you just do wine? You moved to Devon, why don't you just do wine? You know wine. And I think, well, I know wine, I love wine, I could easily do wine. But it gave
Not giving
me
you the feeling.
It wasn't, and it wasn't a bad feeling, but it was a sad feeling in my stomach. That's the only way I could describe it. I was trying to think about how I describe it, and it was sad was the word that came back, and it didn't make me go,
yeah.
Well,
Okay.
yeah.
So if someone comes along, or if anyone's listening to this and they're like, but how do I get that feeling? If that's their thought process, but how do I get that? They don't know where to start. What would you suggest?
To get that feeling, I think you have to be very realistic about what you want to do and what you're good at. You know, that it's okay to be flexible, it's okay to go out of your comfort zone, but I don't think you can really change, you know, the fundamental core of who you are. So it's got to be something you can do. It has got to be, I mean, passion. People talk about passion. Passion is so important. Without passion, if you're not passionate about the project, then how can anybody else be? So you're finding those things. It's very hard to answer because mine sort of clicked into place, and I think I said to you, I got goosebumps. I physically got goosebumps when I realised, oh my gosh, you know, I sort of know what I'm doing, and I've got my friend who does know what she's doing, and I am very passionate about it. I know I can do it. I know the world needs it. I can support the community with it. It all sort of came together. So I would just urge people to keep looking, or keep having a chat with yourself every night and say, this is what I need. I mean, some people say the universe. Everybody has a different way of wording it, but hey, universe,
put it out there.
I need some direction. Can you help me? Thoughts, help me, point me in the right direction,
and just see what comes up. Totally. And I always say to the women that I speak to, because some people don't want to big themselves up. Like I might say to them, what do you feel that you're good at, or what do you enjoy? Like you say, what are you passionate about? What do you like? And they're sort of like, oh, I don't know. It's like they don't want to big themselves up. So then I say, well, maybe speak to your closest friends, you know, someone that you really feel that you can trust and that's going to give you an honest opinion, and ask them, because you want to work to your skills, you want to work to your strengths, because if you work to your strengths, when you take action, you should, if you're working to your strengths, get a positive result, and when you get that positive result, it's going to make you want to do more of that thing. It's going to get
amazing in your stomach, and then you want more.
There you go. You get the good feeling. It gives you the drive to move forwards and take more action. And I don't care what anyone says, you know, you can have the biggest goal in the world and you could be visualizing all the time. In my experience, yes, you have to have a vision, you have to have a destination, but the only way you're going to get there is if you take action. And it doesn't need to be massive action initially. That can sometimes come back, well, that does tend to come with time when you're on that roll, and then all of a sudden it builds, you build up your momentum. But initially you need to take some form of action. So if you are uncertain of how to get that feeling that Nicola so rightly talks about, think about, what is it that I love to do? What are my strengths? What do I feel like I'm good at? What are my weaknesses? What are the things I don't enjoy doing? Because that's a great question to ask yourself, because then you're gonna get rid of that kind of stuff. And if you're unsure, speak to people around you that can maybe give you some insight on how they see you. I'm not saying that's going to be right or wrong, but it's going to give you an insight that may give you somewhere to start.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's next for you? What happens next with Power of Pants?
Continuing to slow down my brain. I mean, so my immediate next steps are going to be to expand the lines that we have, and I'm going to start a program of a sort of donation program whereby if I sell X amount of pairs of pants, I can donate one to the food bank, probably our local food bank. But I need to establish there's a need, and you know, there are people that want to use them because they're not for everybody.
Yes.
But that's something. I'm also going to start talking to the schools, as I discussed earlier, about trying to introduce them to the young girls. Not necessarily my brand, not necessarily just this product, but other reusable products.
Yes.
And there's an organisation, incredible organisation in Bristol that do that. So I'm hoping that I can either help them or work with them or do something to bring it down here. And I've always got I've already got my idea for basically a very similar business but directed to a much different crowd, which I think would also be a great thing. So yeah, it's trying to keep myself in the marathon rather than the sprint. That's probably my goal. But yeah, I've got lots of ideas coming.
Oh, it sounds fantastic. So if anyone wants to get hold of you, how best can they do that? Is there a website, or do they email you direct? What's the best thing to do?
So my site's under construction. It should be hopefully within a couple of months it will be up and running. But in the meantime, I can be reached by email at powerofpantsuk@gmail.com. I'd be happy to chat to anybody about any of it.
Got any questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Wonderful. Well, I'll make sure I put those details in the feed of the video. So this video will go up on YouTube. It'll also go out on the podcast. So if anyone wants to get hold of Nicola, you will find her email address in the feed. But Nicola, you've been such an inspiration. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much for inviting.
Yeah, I love the sound of everything that you're creating. Like I said, I love the fact that you had these thoughts of what you wanted to create way before it even became a thing. Which is a lesson in itself. It all starts with thoughts, doesn't it? It all starts with a thought.
So powerful, I agree.
So anyone wanting to start something, just keep it there. Thoughts, feelings, actions, results. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, and I will catch up with you soon. Take care, Nicola. Have a great day.
You
See you
too.
later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.